Hey guys, it's Sasha. People are often really surprised to find out that I don't actually have a savings account. What is a guy doing talk about personal finance on YouTube when they don't actually have any savings, right? What madness is this? Now, almost every finance channel, YouTube channel out there, almost all the books will say that a savings account is a must. It is the most important thing that you can do after paying down your debt. You need to make sure that you have this account that has at least 6 months worth of your everyday living expenses in it in case the worst thing was to happen. And yet here I am, with exactly £0 in savings, and I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. One thing I really dislike is money sitting around collecting dust and doing absolutely nothing. Inflation is eating away at it like a coyote, and the money could just be doing something useful. It could be working for me, but instead it sits in an account somewhere doing nothing at all. That is what people call savings these days. Look at the best savings rates available in the UK today. If you go and look at something where you don't have to put your money away for a long time, because that kind of negates the point of having an emergency fund. We're talking something like 0.4 to 0.5% per year. Sure, there's a few oddballs. For example, Virgin Money has a current account that pays you 2% on balances of up to £1,000, for example. But if you have any sizable savings, as I guess that probably isn't 6 months worth of expenses for most people, you'll be earning less than inflation. So your savings would actually be losing you money instead of growing it. So let's break down the arguments that most people have for having savings and why I don't think any of them really apply. Now, the first argument is that you should always have an emergency fund in case you have an unexpected cost or find yourself in some kind of tricky situation. Those savings make sure that you can go and replace your boiler if it breaks, fix your car, or be able to cover your bills when you lose your job. But do you actually need to have 6 months worth of your money sitting in a separate bank account for this relatively unlikely situation, and is it the best way of overcoming it? Do you need to have years worth of money wasting away for that one time when you might need to use it? My opinion is that the answer to this question is no. And just to be clear, this is my personal opinion. I am not a financial advisor and I can't provide financial advice to you. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just a schmuck on the internet. But I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking and how I am managing my own finances in this. I personally keep my money working by having it invested, and some of it is not liquid. Like, for example, the money that I have invested in this house. But a lot of my investments are relatively liquid, for example, the ones in the stock market, and they can become cash, literal active cash sitting in my current account in about a week. And for accounting for the time to sell the stocks and for the transfer to my bank account to happen. If I need cash urgently, I always keep a buffer of a few £100s in my current account so that I don't go right down to zero. And that, for most things, will be more than enough, especially for things that can't be covered by paying with card. For anything major, let's say car trouble, medical issues, my boiler breaking down, anything like that, I can go and use a credit card that I already have. I literally have it sitting there as a way of being able to cover an emergency. And before anyone goes and says, hey, Sasha, you are completely wrong. Borrowing money for that emergency is the wrong way to go about it. That's how you get into debt. That's the worst thing ever. I have zero plans of getting into debt if that situation was to happen. What I'll do if that situation arises, and when it arises, is I'll go and spend on the card. I then have plenty of time because I have about a month until I have to go and pay that credit card bill in full. I can go and liquidate any liquid assets that I need. And the best thing is I only need to liquidate the exact amount I actually need. Not a lot more than that. And then that money will come in as cash into my current account and pay the direct debit in full. And the best thing is this will cost me absolutely nothing because there are no fees of just spending on your credit card and then repaying it in full. Now, in a situation where I need several months worth of money to live, I can relatively easily, steadily live off whatever stocks I intend to sell and the best thing is I can sell them as and when I need it. You see, the beauty of doing it this way is I don't have to keep enough money for the worst possible scenario. I don't need to say what is the maximum I'll need over a 6-month period and then keep that much. I can just keep my cash sitting in assets, and in an emergency situation, I can only cash in the amount that I actually need. And all the while that I do not need that money, which may be several years, that money is actively working for me. It is actually sitting there in the stock market or wherever else I have it invested, and it is earning me more money on top. Now, I know some people say it's a shame to sell stocks for this. It's such a shame to have to sell off your investments so that you can cover your needs. But the thing is, if I didn't put the money into those investments in the first place, if I kept it as cash, I wouldn't have anything to sell anyway. So I'm not exactly going to be in a worse situation. And if this eventuality for which I'm preparing and prepping hard for does not ever materialize, then I get to never have to sell the stocks anyway. Now, I do appreciate that my view on personal finance may well be very, very different to other people. And that some people might be uncomfortable with investing all of their money because cash is king. But I don't really share that point of view. In the long run, those investments that I have across the different asset classes that I plan to have will deliver real results. While cash sat in a bank account that pays you nothing, or worse than nothing because it's actually less than inflation, will just dwindle away. Much of this advice that people give over and over, the same advice given by YouTubers, Dave Ramsey, everyone out there, seems to stem from a time when, you didn't have the same flexibility in managing your finances. A time when you couldn't just go and invest in various different things without it taking a huge amount of time, without it costing you a huge amount of money, and without massive minimum deposits required. In a time when it would take you many weeks and sometimes months to go and sell some of those assets in order to be able to generate cash, I completely get it. But the game has changed. And there are so many different avenues where you can go and invest your money in really liquid ways without all that cost and without those minimums. But the advice on how to manage your money seems to have not changed from the same advice that we all had in the 50s. Now, at a moderate 8% return in the stock market, for example, over a relatively long period, through a high risk, high return strategy that I employ because I'm a relatively young person, my 6-month piggy bank would cover 12 months in just 9 years' time. So if I wait 9 years for that eventuality when I lose my job, I then get to take my 6 months worth of money out, and I still have another 6 months worth of money sitting in investments after I do with withdrawal. But I guess we all think differently. I'm guessing a lot of people are going to be thinking that I'm a risk-taking idiot when, in my mind, this is a mathematically far superior, far more optimal solution. Some people will say that if they invest their money, they can't sleep at night worrying, what will happen with that money? Will it lose some value? And will that mean that I won't have enough maybe for the 6th month or the 5th month or something like that? I instead would worry that I have all of this money sitting in an account doing absolutely nothing, and that is losing value instead. Now, make sure you leave a comment whether you think that I'm really dumb or if you agree. I'll be really, really interested in hearing your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. As always, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys later.